Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to take a look at a triple barrel bluff spot from the 109 scoop that I ended up winning. And believe it or not, it was the only triple barrel bluff in the whole final table. So let's get into it. Let's dissect the hand and see exactly what's going on. Alright, so the hand starts with a min raise from me. I can be opening really wide here. So I have a huge chip lead at this point. The small blind is pretty short, has about 15, 16 big blinds. And then the big blind is somewhere in the middle, comfortably in second place. So it doesn't want to be going too crazy in this spot. So the big blind has queen 5 off here. And you might be thinking, is it a call? Is it a 3-bet? Is it a jam? Or is it a fold? And we can answer that question right now. Let's take a look at HRC. Okay, so as you can see here, we can open really wide here. 64% of hands, which includes hands like queen 5 off, king 3 off, and loads of other suited hands over here. Then if we fold to the big blind, this is what his strategy is going to look like. And what I thought when looking at this strategy that was most surprising was that there's hardly any 3-betting. So you can see here, raise to 6.5 bigs, 0.2%. So really not any 3-betting, maybe with aces. The thing is though, when he's second in chips, he doesn't want to 3-bet and then get jammed on and then have to call it off. So the only hand you can see that he really wants to do that with is pocket aces. And the other surprising thing is that he's going to jam kings plus and ace king and some ace deuce off as well. If we do take a look at queen 5 off, the hand that Villain actually had here, you can see that it is a fold. Shouldn't be playing this hand at all. It's not a call, it's not a 3-bet, it's not a jam. It is just a fold and it's losing money in this spot. Now I do think there is going to come a point when my videos become so popular that I'm going to have to stop recording these kind of videos because I'm just giving it away. I'm giving away all of this feedback and advice on how poor this call is. And at some point that's going to hurt my bottom line. But at the moment, we're good to go and I'm going to help you guys out by making sure that you don't make these mistakes in the future. So HRC has this really cool feature where you can show the bubble factors and you can see the big blind's bubble factor here against us is actually really high, and which is why he doesn't get to defend as wide and also why he doesn't really want to 3-bet call many hands at all. So you can see from the stack sizes we have 123, small blind has about 16 and the big blind has about 38. So I think this bubble factor feature is a really nice addition to HRC. I think it really helps you understand why, as the big blind, you don't get to defend as wide and why you don't get to 3-bet call as wide. From this bubble factor number, you can also work out risk premium, so that's pretty cool. Maybe I'll do a video on that in the future. If you're interested in that, drop a comment down below now and I'll be sure to make that. Okay, so back to the hand then. Big blind does call here and we see a flop of king 10 5 rainbow. I'm going to go with a small bet here and big blind is going to go for a call. Now, I haven't looked at the solution yet, but looking at this now, I wonder if we actually do get to do some bigger betting on this board, especially having the ace of hearts. So even when we bet small here, we get some better ace-x hands to fold, but we're blocking ace-x of hearts will be the most obvious folds in this spot. Versus a small bet, he's supposed to continue with ace-x of diamonds, ace-x of clubs, ace-x of spades. Well, we've got the ace of hearts, so we're already blocking the kind of hands that we know are going to fold. So if he's got a hand like ace-8 of hearts or ace-9 of hearts, those hands will fold on this flop, but we know that he can't have that because we've got the ace of hearts. So what I think might be going on here is that we get to use a bigger bet and actually start folding out more of those backdoor flush draw type hands like ace-8 of spades and ace-9 of clubs. So that'll be the first question I want to know when we look at Pio for the solution. So if we do hover over ace-7 off, you can see that our combo ace of hearts, 7 of diamonds actually prefers the bigger bet, but there is some small betting going on here, so it's not completely ludicrous to think that we can actually use a small bet in this spot. So just to reiterate the point about betting small and the hands that continue, you can see that he's going to continue with ace-9 with a backdoor flush draw, ace-8 with a backdoor flush draw. But when we go for the bigger bet, he's going to start folding ace-9 with a backdoor flush draw and ace-8 with a backdoor flush draw, together with some 5x hands as well. So we go for the small bet in this spot. And you can see he doesn't have queen 5 off, or at least he shouldn't have queen 5 off. And some of you might be asking, yeah, but if he has a hand that he doesn't have in the solution, then shouldn't we rerun it for the hand that he did have? I don't think that's a good way to look at it. I think you have to look at it from an equilibrium standpoint to begin with, and then potentially we can try to adjust or deviate from there. But unless we know what the equilibrium solution looks like, how do we start adjusting? If anything, if he's going to continue with hands that he shouldn't, he's going to end up with far too wide and weaker range on later streets anyway. So the turn is the 4 of hearts, and that is definitely a blank in this spot. So we should be using a very polarized betting strategy, and we'll see if that's confirmed by Pio in a minute, because, you know, the whole point of doing these kind of reviews is to make sure they're actually doing what we should be doing. If the solver suddenly says, nope, you're absolutely wrong in this spot, then that's something that we need to take on board and learn from. But in my experience, on a turn that is a blank, we're going to be going for a polarized betting strategy. So what that means is we're going to bet our best hands, and we're going to bet some bluffs, and we're going to check those hands in the middle. So as you can see from this sim, I gave the option to check, a bet half pot, or to overbet, and this is the geometric sizing, 111.1% pot. And you can see that it does just use the overbet in this situation. When we take a look at ace 7 off, then you can see that ace of hearts 7x is not in there very much, and that's because we should be using the bigger bet size on the flop. But also what's interesting, I think, is that when we do land on this turn with the ace of hearts 7x, we should be going for the overbet. And when we do, we get a lot of better hands to start folding. So you can see that ace queen starts to fold, ace jack starts to fold. We're now getting some 10x hands to fold. All of the 5x from the flop now have to fold as well. Not to mention some of the stubborn underpairs that called from the flop. So I do believe this is the second mistake that our opponent makes in this hand. He shouldn't have called pre-flop, and on the turn he has to fold all of his 5x. He's just getting to the river with such a wide and weak range, and that's never really where you want to be, especially when you're second in chips and there's a guy on 15 big blinds in third. So we do go for the slight overbet here, targeting those much better hands, ace queen, ace jack, some 10x, definitely the 5x in his range. Not going to get a king to fold at this point, and that's not what we're trying to do at all. So the big blind does call, and then the river is the 6 of diamonds. He goes for the check, and then we have a decision to make with our hand. Do we go for it? Do we go for the triple barrel bluff, or do we go for a check back? Okay, so once again, we've got the option to bet half pot or go for this overbet, which is a jam at this point. And you can see that ace 7 off mainly likes to go for a jam, but our exact combo, ace of hearts, 7 of diamonds, wants to go for half pot instead. Now, I had a look at the solution from our point of view and from his point of view, and I couldn't work out why ace of hearts, 7 of diamonds specifically preferred a half pot bet over a jam, because looking back at the board, the kind of hands that we're trying to get to fold now are going to be hands like 10x, 10-7 suited being a really, really good example. So in my eyes, because there was already a 10 of diamonds out there, having the 7 of diamonds is pretty good, because it's impossible for him to have 10-7 of diamonds, but it's not impossible for him to have the other 10-7 suited. But for some reason, Pio prefers going half pot here. If you can work this out, if you can tell me what's going on in this situation, then please drop a comment down below, because I really want to work this out. At the moment, it's confusing me. So on the river then, we're going to have a pretty polarized betting strategy once more. We're going to be checking some hands and going for the jam with others. Something that's really nice to do in Pio is just to click the big bet button, and then you can see, okay, we're going to jam 2 pair plus for value, and then we're going to have all of these bluffs. And then the hands in the middle are just going to be checked back. So in terms of value hands then, we're going to have straights, we're going to have sets, and we're going to have 2 pair that get to jam in this spot. And then when it comes to bluffs, we're going to have some 7-6 off, we're going to have some 8-4 suited, we're going to have some ace highs, mainly our hand ace 7 off, although as you can see, our exact combo is missing ace of hearts, 7 of diamonds. And then nothing is where we're going to find the majority of our bluffs in this situation. So you can see we're using a lot of 8x and 7x in this situation, and then we're also going to use these hands down here, jack high and 9 high, with a 2 and a 3 blocker, which is just going to completely unblock our opponent's folding range. So what kind of hands are we actually trying to target here? Because we're certainly not trying to get a 5 to fold on the river, because that should have already folded on the turn. Well, let's take a look. So when we do go for the jam, then we can get some ace queen to fold that was pretty stubborn from the turn, and we can also get 10x to start folding as well. In fact, most of the 10x here that isn't 2 pair is just going to fold in this spot. What might be a surprise for you in this spot is that we actually can get some king X hands to fold. And you can see that like king 9 off, king queen off, king jack off, folding a lot of the time. What you might be thinking here is, well, why do those hands fold and yet king 8 off, king 7 off call? Well, I think that's all going to come down to the kind of hands that we are bluffing with. So if our bluffing range is going to include a lot of 9x and 8x hands, like they do here, 9-3 suited, 9-2 suited, 9-7 off, 8-7 off, 9-8 off, queen 8 off, jack 8 off, for example, then he doesn't want to have king 9 off to call, because that hand is going to block a lot of our bluffs. So in game, I did go for the triple barrel bluff, and I believe he tanked for quite a while before folding. So he did fold eventually, phew. But to be honest, he really shouldn't be getting past the turn with that hand. I mean, to be honest, he shouldn't be getting past pre-flop. And I think this is a really common mistake I see players making a lot. If you haven't done so already, check out Whole Cards Up replays on YouTube. They are really, really eye-opening when it comes to being able to work out exactly what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. So I definitely recommend watching some high-stakes replays. But to be honest, even in some of those replays where you expect the play to be exceptional, very, very good, very high standard, they are making some big mistakes as well when it comes to ICM. So what I definitely recommend is to take a spot and to run it in Holdem Resources Calculator, just as I've done today, and it should show you where you need to be adjusting, and maybe you can learn something from the mistakes of others, just like we have in this hand. So I'm going to wrap things up there. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification icon as well. And until next time, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.